Hello and welcome to today's edition of The Wealthy Lightworker. Today I have Caroline Oceana Ryan. Caroline, welcome.
Thank you so much, Colleen. It's lovely to be here. Hello to everyone.
We're so excited to have you. Now, Caroline is an author, a speaker, and a channeler, and she is the host of the Empowered Lightworker. How fitting is that? And that is on the BBM Global Network. And then Caroline also channels the divine wisdom and higher energies of a group called The Collective. And she has written 4 books channeled from this group of higher beings. So I'm just so honored to have you. So again, thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And we're going to go ahead and get started with a nice deep breath just to center us. So deep breath in. One more time. Wonderful. So, Caroline, you have channeled information and energies from higher guides since you were a child. Could you share with us what that's been like for you and how you found yourself on this path?
I seem to have come in with it. It's not something that I created, When I was little, I would just find myself talking to angels and hearing them inwardly, and also talking to someone who was a grown-up woman. She seemed to be maybe around 30, and I kind of recognized her, and I think she was maybe my higher self. That's the conclusion I've come to. So it was just always there, and then I began later on in life to start asking questions, and then I would write out the answers, what people used to call automatic writing. So I would get answers to things that were bothering me or that I just didn't understand, particularly as I was getting into my early 30s. I felt like there were blocks between me and the abundance that I knew I could have. And so I started asking questions about that and getting answers. Wow. And then about 4 years ago, I was reading a lot of channelings online. And I thought, I've channeled my whole life. Why don't I do this? And I did a little bit for the first book I put out, which was just purely me writing with a bit of channeling here and there. And that was called Adventures in Belfast, but because I was living in Northern Ireland at the time. But I thought, I'm reading so many channelings. Why don't I just start putting out my own? So that's what I started doing, and that became Message to Lightworkers. And then after a while, this beautiful group that came through, I within a day actually of thinking I would like to start channeling again, a group came through and said, we have messages for Lightworkers. Could you write them down and share them? So I started doing that and got a tremendous response. And then after a while, they said, well, we'd like to do a book. Could you start taking that down? So then I started channeling. That was the first 2 Ascension manuals. And then we did Abundance for All and Connections, the collective speak on romance and friendship. And there'll be another one probably coming out this year. So it's just kind of, rolled forward. Well, I'll do individual or group sessions, and I have my own abundance group, and we have calls every other Wednesday, and it's just rolled forward. And I don't do telesummits so much anymore. This is an exception, but I really, I have enjoyed the fact that people have invited me onto them. It's very kind of them. And now this radio show, I always bring through a message from the collective, and every now and again I'll have a show where it's just mainly them speaking, which I'm going to do in a couple of weeks actually. So it's all kind of snowballed in 4 years. It's just, yeah.
And your show is every Tuesday, is that correct?
Every Tuesday at 11 Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Wow.
Yeah, Full Braid Media.
That's amazing. Now, and thank you too for making the exception for this series. It's funny how aligned our titles are, and just that clearly this was a fit for some divine reason. So thank you. And you were talking about in your 30s how you've noticed that there were some blocks between you and abundance, and I know I can relate to that. So maybe you could share with us a little bit about what that was like.
Well, it was difficult because I had studied theater in London, and then I spent a little time in LA before then, and then I came back to Los Angeles, and I was just working an office job, which I found wholly uninspiring, you might say. And I've always supported myself, and you know, different jobs, whether it was waiting tables or teaching kids or working in an office. And then after a while, I started doing copywriting and editing again, which I had started out doing when I got out of college. But I didn't feel like just earning a living was the point. Even though I was writing at night, I wanted to combine the two. I wanted to be really fulfilled by the thing that brought me my abundance. And I also thought it would be more heart opening to do something that I really enjoyed, that I felt, you know, facilitated my life purpose in some way. It didn't have to cover everything, but if it just supported it a bit, I would be really happy. So that's when I started asking questions. And what came through wasn't that different from what comes through now. You know, we're going back to 1994 when I moved back to LA. So, you know, it's the same sort of thing where we're learning to work with energy, we're shaping energy, and we're resonating with it. We're looking, in other words, that we want to create in raw form. The collective have a meditation called Working with Energy, and that's what this is for. You go in the higher realms where everything is pure energy, and you just work with this beautiful ball of sparkling light that is the energy of, say, a sum of money, a job you want, something you want to create, an energy healing practice, or a new business, whatever it is, a new home, a car, whatever it is. You're working with just the raw energy of it. So you're starting right at the base, and you're putting into that beautiful ball of energy you're concentrating, you're focusing all the traits that you want. So you don't have to worry. What most people will do is they'll go out and they'll say, oh, I really want that job with that organization, or I really want that car. And the thing itself may or may not serve the purposes you have in mind. If you just say to the universe, all right, whatever it is, I need this job to fulfill this purpose, I need to do this, I needed to bring in this every month, I want to use these skills and help people in this way, and then the universe can go out and find you that. And it might be a big surprise where you end up working, or the kind of business or practice you end up running. But because you've handed it over to the universe and your higher self, and you're not all caught up in the outer form straight off the bat, they're able to create with a lot of leeway. You know, they've got your higher good in mind. So they're not just thinking in terms of, okay, well, she's decided on this job at this company, so we've got to get her that. It's a lot more open than that.
Yes, I love that. I think that is such an important tip for people who are really focused on the end result rather than just the feeling that they're trying to create in their lives. I know myself, I've been wanting a certain, you know, external like signifier of my success in my other business. And it's exactly that, where like, well, what is my motivation for that? And if it's pure and open to however it wants to come in, then the universe can work with me. But if I'm just like, it has to be this now and in this way. And I love that. And I also, the other thing that you said that I thought was really beautiful is that you want to be fulfilled by what brings you abundance. So marrying the two things and kind of recognizing that the highest, empowered light worker and wealthy light worker is one who can combine the two and be empowered and abundant by the very thing that they are most fulfilled by.
It is a great moment. Yeah, it is a great moment. And I wouldn't say that we always have to earn our living by our life purpose, because sometimes that's just impossible. But if you're open to receiving money in a way that's heart opening and joyful for you, I think that's a much more joyful life than only earning money by going through just the slog of, you know, the 9 to 5 and something you're totally disconnected from and have no heart connection to. I think that's the hard way of doing it. So yeah, absolutely, I follow. I can bring in the collective if you'd like to answer the rest of the questions. Because I'm realizing that, you know, the time goes by fast and they have a lot more wisdom to share than I do.
Oh, beautiful. Well, I'm so honored to be able to work with that. So yes, please.
Okay, that's great. I'll just take a moment to sort of bring them in. If everyone wants to just do their deep breathing, that's really helpful to open your energies, because what they do is really an energy transmission. Well, greetings, dear ones. We are very pleased to have this time to speak with you today. And so you are speaking of combining that which you love with bringing in abundance. And this is a beautiful idea, because it means that when you go out into the world to share your gifts, you are sharing from the heart and you are in service to others. And that is a very, very fine thing. This is, in fact, what you came for. It's just that it doesn't always feel very obvious, because you were raised in cultures that say, well, one has to earn a living. And of course, it's a horrible sort of ordeal half the time, or it's incredibly dull, or it's just the sort of, the treadmill that you get on every day and it's meaningless, but you have to do it anyway. And children coming in now, you notice that they're not really sort of buying, the young people and the children and teens, they're not sort of buying into this idea anymore. And they don't understand the acquisition of wealth purely for its own sake. They're saying, isn't the real abundance caught up in the joy of the moment and enjoying good health and good relationships, as well as bringing in finance, which is important, but it's not the whole thing in and of itself. So if you have a question, we're happy to assist, most assuredly.
So the title of this particular interview is The Empowerment You Weren't Expecting. I'm curious as to what that would mean. How can we be empowered in a way that we don't expect?
Well, this is something we speak of a great deal in the Abundance Group, which is that people believe that it's outer circumstances that empower them because this is how you've been raised. This is actually not natural to your spirit, to your essence, but it is what people are taught from the cradle on up. So they think empowerment means I'm in a situation where I feel quite strong. I can be myself. I'm free to be my true and authentic self. I'm earning well, and I believe in what I'm doing. Now, in fact, one has to get into the energy of that moment even before outer circumstances come in to support and demonstrate it. So what you want to do is get the feeling in your body, in your heart mind, of already doing work that you love and doing well by it. And we encourage people, financially as well as personally, and we encourage people to write out affirmations, because what the mind will say when you sit and you visualize this beautiful, fulfilling life for yourself, where you're doing this work you love. It could be anything. It could be building houses to singing opera, whatever makes you joyful. You sit and you think of this, you visualize it, you glory in it, you're thrilled by it, and then the rational left brain mind comes in and says, that's nonsense. You can't make any money that way. It's repeating what you heard as a child. And then it also says, you're acting as if this is already in place. We can tell you it's not in place. You're just making it up. Now, a fun thing to do is to write out an affirmation where you're actually dialoguing with this aspect of the mind and the subconscious as well. The subconscious is full of fearful sort of survival-based tactics to hold you back so you don't get hurt trying something new and big and exciting. So you write out, I am doing the work that's incredibly fulfilling to me now, or that supports my life purpose, however you like. And I'm earning, let's say, $7,000 a month, or whatever amount you would like to make, at least $5,000, etc. And then I'll leave space on the right-hand side of the page and just write down your immediate reaction to that statement. And it might be, no, that's nonsense, or I doubt it, etc. This is not unusual. This is not even slightly unusual. The mind is full of negativity and, as we say, little traps, little trapdoors to hold you back so you don't make a mistake or go too far and take too many risks. Now, in a way that can be helpful, but it can also hold you back something tremendous. So you want to write that affirmation again, and then again, react on the right-hand side of the page. And you're going to keep writing it and keep reacting, and you'll see a progression whereby that response, that gut level, immediate response that pops up as soon as you write the affirmation, that starts to get more and more positive until finally it's utterly positive and says, yes, I believe it. And then you want to go back and write the same thing again, phrase it differently. And again, let the mind respond. Keep writing it until you have revised that belief. And this is how you don't just change your subconscious or conscious mind about things. This is how you absolutely shift your entire vibration in the direction of having what you want. You melt and dissolve that which is holding you back. If you have trouble paying your rent or mortgage on time, your affirmation will be, I am writing, or I am paying my rent or mortgage on time every month. I pay all my bills on time every month. I give thanks. Again, leave space to react. Because if you're not already doing it, some belief is holding you back, dear ones. And that's not at all unusual. Don't put yourself down for that. Just work with it. Just be kind and work with it. You can show your mind a better way. You know, it's like a little child that's been scared and bullied, and it's afraid to step forward and use its own voice. So you're going to have to help it that way. Absolutely, dear ones. So that's one method. There are many others. There are the visualizations. We were speaking last night on the abundance call about waking up, setting your alarm 15, 20 minutes early, and visualize what it is that you want as if you're already having it, or use a metaphor. You say you're in a great, big, huge, beautiful house, but you're only living in one little room of it. And you hear a knock on the door of your room, and you open the door, and it's your higher self. And your higher self says, I don't know why you're only living in this one little room. It's okay, but this whole huge house is yours. This entire estate, this beautiful, huge mansion. And then your higher self leads you out into the hallway. You're walking through, and we always say, look, add light to the hallway if it looks a bit dark. Fill it with light. Golden or silver light, or just turn on some lights in the wall. Walk through the rooms. Is there huge old heavy furniture in there which you inherited accidentally from cranky grandparents or what have you, or great-great-grandparents, and it's not right for you. It's just there. You have staff in that house who work for you. Say to them, I want all this carried out. You can take it or give it away. I don't care. All this huge, old, heavy, dark, gothic furniture. It's not mine. I don't want that. In other words, you're moving out the old beliefs. You're revising your inherited traits, even your DNA in that moment. You might see a grouchy grandparent here or there, or a parent who always told you couldn't do what you wanted to do in life. Order them to leave. This is your house now. Now that takes a bit of courage, because you'll feel as if you're not being loyal to your family, but it has nothing to do with that. The first person you are here to be loyal to, dear ones, is your own authentic self, your own spirit, your own soul. You came in for a reason. They can't fulfill that for you. And a misplaced sense of loyalty to family won't fulfill it for you. So then you go through every room and you're sweeping out all the old energy, in other words. You're emptying it of everything that isn't yours, that was given to you, but it isn't yours, and it's holding you back. And then you might begin to add beautiful things, fresh flowers, art that means a great deal to you, beautiful furniture. Sweeping the marble floors is because you don't want the energy of the past, to be invading the present. And then ask angels, or if you believe in the fairy realm, ask them to come in with sage and sage the entire house, or use cedar, whatever you use to clear the energy of a house, and every corner, every bit of it. This is your home. If you walk outside, is there a garden that needs to be tended, etc. So the visualizations like this can be very helpful, because they are opening up your consciousness to help you realize you have been put in a small space, but you don't belong there. And so you want to think in terms of expansion. These 2 guided meditations, the healing your smaller self and the allowing abundance in every area of your life, it's about that expansion. It's about realizing you deserve. And it's about learning how to accept and allow, which is quite a journey for many. Yes, indeed.
You have no idea how much that personally resonates with me. So thank you for that. Or maybe I'm sure you do. And actually that brings me to my other question is, I'm finding that a lot of talk really is about conscious people bringing in abundance at this time. Do you, as the collective, find that, this theme is particularly important right now? And if so, why?
It's extremely important, dear one, and we're glad that you've asked, because this is exactly the crux of the matter. It doesn't have so much to do with money itself. It has to do with you and every light worker on earth understanding, every human on earth understanding that your empowerment means you're here to be a co-creator, not just someone who receives circumstances or ideas or objects, but someone who molds and creates them straight from the source, from source energy. This returns you to your true identity, and that's a narrow little term, but we'll use that at the moment. It returns you to your true identity as a light being, as a co-creator, god or goddess. And it reminds you constantly, you are made of light, you are made of divine love itself. You're just in a human form at the moment, but that doesn't contain you. That doesn't explain or fully demonstrate who you are. You're so much more. You are so much more. So when we speak of empowering people with abundance, manifestation tools and exercises or processes, oh, that's wonderful. You should be abundant, but it's to remind you you're a co-creator. You come in and you are creating the new earth. You're not just passively receiving what all the generations before you have told you. That's not really why you're here. Past generations, yes, they learned from the struggle. They learned from things being difficult. You're here to learn in joy. You're here to learn in beautiful co-creative expression, sort of an artistic expression. And, this is what a god or a goddess does. They look at a blank canvas and they begin to paint. They don't just say, why is the canvas blank? Or can I find one that's already painted that has exactly what I want? They say, what colors will I choose? And what forms will I express? And will I put some beautiful people who are smiling and joyful there? They don't have to be beautiful physically, but the joy comes from, knowing the true self. And so this is what you're here to see in one another and in yourself, and realize how powerful you are. It's not just a sort of dry run through. It's not like any other earth life. This is a very, very different one, into which you're actually moving into fifth dimensional energies, taking on fifth dimensional abilities, and remembering, while still in a human body, remembering who you are. So that old veil that separated you from your true self in all those other earth lives you've lived is dissolving very, very quickly now. It's barely there now. So it's a miraculous time for human beings. It is, absolutely. Yes, indeed.
That is so beautiful. And I cannot thank you enough for sharing it today and as a part of this series. And I know that we are offering the 2 guided meditations as free gifts for people who are watching today. And maybe we can talk a little bit about why those particular meditations are so valuable for people.
Well, the healing your smaller self is important because as we've been saying, what happens is you come in as a tiny baby, and you come in as this incredibly expansive light being who knows who he or she is. You're full of hope, you're full of joy and positive feeling and co-creative expression and ability. And you remember your past lives and how beautiful it is in the higher realms. It's very difficult for you to be in a physical body. Most babies are in shock for a while. They're not quite physically in their body for months and even a couple of years, some of them. But you come in as this brilliant, phenomenal being, and then you are treated to no end of what people call socialization, which is really severe limitation and punishment toward the child for believing they can do anything. A reminder of them, look how unimportant you are, you're only a kid, that sort of a thing. Constant disempowerment. The entire educational system is based on disempowerment for the most part, not completely, but for the most part. It's based on conforming the child to some outer, form, which is just, it's not who they are. It's expedient for those who were once in charge of the planet, but it's not who the child is. And then they're informed over and over by religion. You're separate from God, you're evil, you're bad. And gosh, you better memorize this dogma and hope that God doesn't hate you. God is full of love, but he hates you enough to throw you into hell if you do the wrong thing, sort of an idea. So at that point, the child is where they don't see that they're powerful. They don't see that they're co-creative. And even as an adult, then you retain this smaller sense of self and you think that's who you are. So it's about healing that, lifting the vibration, and coming back into your true, powerful, creative, beautiful God, goddess self, who is divinity, just expressing in human form. That's all. Nothing small about you. Not at all.
Oh, so that is the healing your inner small.
The inner child, yes, indeed.
Yeah.
The smaller self and the inner child, yes.
And the inner child, and then the other one. I'm trying to remember which one. What that was something. It was about bringing in fifth dimensional abundance.
Yes, indeed, allowing abundance to flow in every area of your life, and this is because people have it in their head they don't really deserve that much, or you have to work very hard for everything you have, and I don't want to work hard all the time, which is understandable. You have memory deep down of living in the higher realms where you only had to think of a thing in order for it to be created, and so you're thinking, well, then why can't it still happen? And you don't agree with the struggle, and you don't feel comfortable with it, and you shouldn't. So this is just, these are empowering energies in these guided meditations. They're not only journeys that take you into the higher realms where you begin to see things again as you once did. They're journeys that remind you of how powerful you are inwardly, and your own innate soul abilities, your own inherent soul abilities, past life abilities, that sort of a thing. And it puts you in touch again with this beautiful light being who can absolutely create. It's just that there's a bit of a time delay when you're manifesting on earth, not always, but usually. And that's because thoughts and feelings can be so dense here. It would be dangerous for people's every thought to suddenly manifest in this sort of in the third dimension. And of course, the earth is lifting up out of the third dimension now, but there's still a bit of a time delay because so many still live in that density. Now, increasingly, a light worker does not have to worry about time delay. You can speed up manifestations. And one of the best ways is to pretend you've already got what you're asking for, and it's already with you. Don't hold it off. Don't say, well, someday I'll have this, or I'm asking for this, or I'm working on this. Just say, it's already appearing in my life, and I'm giving thanks for that. It's already here. And so that's a very much different sort of a situation than feeling it's often separate from you and sort of waiting for it to come in, as if it's separate from your own presence. This is why we go into the higher realms and work with the energy of something we want to create. And we draw our vibration up to the vibration of this, $30,000 or this new business or energy practice or home or whatever it is you're wanting to create. Draw your energy as if you heard a tone being rung by this beautiful energy of this thing you want to create. And you just raise your energy in your inner heart mind to match that tone. So it's sort of matching frequencies. Anything you're a vibrational match to, as you've heard the phrase, it comes to you easily. And it stays for as long as you're a match. And we like to say to people, we could hand you $5 million right now. But if you don't have $5 million in your vibrational reality right now, you would find a way to give away or spend that money very quickly. It would actually, with the consciousness money has, move away from you because you're not a good match. No more than you would spend time with someone with whom you had nothing in common, who didn't even know how to deal with your energy. They were sort of, oh gosh, you wouldn't call that person your best friend. And that's purely natural. That's just because of how vibration works.
I don't want to end this because it's just my vibration right now, and I'm sure everyone listening at home, it's just incredible. It's beautiful. So thank you to the collective, and thank you to Caroline as well for bringing this through. I know that I just want to drink in more of this incredible information and this higher energy, and those two guided meditations embedded with that higher energy are really enormous value and are going to serve all of us who are looking to create this new earth and to co-create this new earth with this beautiful higher vibration. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you've shared with all of us today. I can't wait to hear the responses from the audience, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Of course, we are honored to assist, dear one. Namaste.
Namaste.
We'll bring our writer back now. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Caroline, thank you. That
and
was
those
so
energies,
beautiful.
well, and those energies will keep flowing to you for as long as you wish. Just stay open to them. They're there to support you.
Thank you. And I hope that everyone watching gets to feel that same beautiful, brilliant energy that you've channeled for us. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me to be on in the collective as well. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste.